All right, everybody, welcome back in to Sports and Money. I appreciate you being with us tonight, and I apologize if we got the highlighter on the wrong thing, but I appreciate you being with us. We're here live from Myrtle Beach, man. Corey's with us in the building. Yusef is with us in the building. Shane is with us tonight as well. We are excited. So I'll be doing some technical stuff while we work our way through this, but I am here literally on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know if you can see it or not, but we are we're on vacation. We'll keep doing this thing. Got a beautiful set of questions tonight and a great panel tonight. So if y'all are ready, let's get it going, man. Everybody good to go?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's
All
go.
right. Let's do it. First question of the night. Leading off, which NFL team needs to develop the most? So you can take this in a number of directions. What I'm really looking for here is there are several teams, I would think probably 5 to 10 teams that have a lot of players gone, new players in, new coach, et cetera, plus some pressure to kind of get things done right away. They don't have 2 to 4 years to get things done. So, Corey, I'm going to start off with you tonight, man. Which team has the most puzzle pieces to put together the most quickly?
I think the team that has the most talent and the best ability to win a Super Bowl, but Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs are in the way, is the Ravens. I think if the Ravens manage to use Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in some kind of tandem to kind of combat what the Chiefs have been able to do, I think that would be pretty cool to see if they can fit together some of these pieces. It's always seemed to be a problem at receiver. Zay Flowers kind of coming to his own. I know they're supposed to get some more running backs coming back. I think Dobbins coming back. And I just want to see that running attack just go crazy. Like, just not, why not just go insanely run heavy with Lamar Jackson, see what happens. Simply because I feel like during the championship game with the Chiefs, there's a lot of passing going on. It just wasn't quite suiting it. And then when they did get good plays on offense through the air, something bad would happen. Or, it just seemed like more logical, like just run the ball. So they got Derrick Henry. So I'm assuming they'll have all kind of schemes in place. So I want to see if the Ravens can try and win that Super Bowl for Lamar Jackson.
I thought they had it last year, man, but not quite. Yusef, what team you got tonight, man?
This is a toughie because I had quite a few. I'm going to land on the Buffalo Bills tonight. They've been knocking on the door for quite a while. In my opinion, I said it on our show and or many others, they're arguably the most erratic team in 2023. As up and down as you can be. 4 straight trips to the playoffs, each one ending short of a Super Bowl. And then everybody's in uproar about them giving their draft pick to their rivals, the Chiefs, who they haven't been able to beat. But their problem's been more on the field and between the ears than anything. They had chances to beat the Chiefs on multiple occasions and maintain leads, and they gave it up. They got away from what worked, and they just didn't maintain the kind of killer instinct you have to have against the Super Bowl champions. So their window's been closing for quite a bit now, and they moved up to the top two star wide receivers in Diggs and Davis, and they got issues at center. They gave away Mitch Morse, where they traded Mitch Morse. They gave away their safety and Poyer, and their cornerback. I forget who that. I think it was Tre'Davious. So to this point, they haven't really been replaced. So they got a massive sense of urgency right here. And Josh Allen only gets more expensive this upcoming year, $47 million, and even beyond in his 6-year contract. So they got to do something quick and fast and make an impact because they're running out of time. So they got to do it now.
Lots of changes in Buffalo, man. Lots of them. Shane, what you calling out here?
Yeah, I think Yusuf's dead on with Buffalo. I stayed in the AFC East, a personal favorite for mine, but I think the Patriots, everything you've known for the last 20 years is basically out the window. You've changed all your quarterbacks out, changed everybody in the front office as well, other than the owner. So, I think there's a big change for them, and what can happen new. The other team I said was the same as Yusuf, Buffalo Bills. Your time is coming up. Like, you have to make decisions. You haven't helped Josh Allen the way that you would think. And like Yusuf said, I think Mitch Morse leaving is going to be huge for them. Like, you had a decent offensive line. You never had a solid run game, but he protected Josh Allen. Now you don't have that. And I don't think he has the weapons to be able to play those games.
Buffalo's the team that instantly came to mind as well. There were several teams. I'm going to stay in the AFC East and pick the Miami Dolphins. They need to win now, but they had a lot of changes on defense, and they had changes to the offensive line. So they got work to do too. And, in a division that kind of sort of seems up for grabs this year, Man, pressure's on several of those teams in the AFC East right there. So a lot of changes and a lot of pressure still to pick up that division. So, all right, we'll pick up that later again in the season. Best and worst. This is one of my favorites here. And I told the panel today I was going to cheat, hedge, fudge, do everything I needed to do on this one. You'll find out what I mean here in a minute. But best and worst uniforms in the NFC East tonight. So just those four teams, the NFC East, best and worst uniforms there. Corey.
So I thought about this not too long simply because I feel like I kind of went throwback. I went throwback first, and then I kind of came back up.
Yes.
And I think the best jerseys were the Eagles. The Eagles and the old school greens. I like to call them like the Randall Cunninghams. I really thought those were the kind of like a sought out throwback jersey. I like the green, and even the new Eagles uniform is pretty solid. You know, the green's pretty solid, the white's pretty solid. The Commanders, they didn't switch names, they didn't switch logos. I don't like to give them too much time. And then I was talking to someone about the Giants, and it was like, well, what's the Giants logo? It's like, well, it's their name, you spell it out. And it was like, well, it's not that memorable, just not like, it's just basic red, white, and blue, nothing fancy. So I really thought I broke it down. And even with the Cowboys, although they are world renowned, world famous, everybody knows that star, it's still plain to me. So I had to go with the Eagles.
Yeah, you mentioned the throwbacks. I'll jump on that here in a second. Yourself?
Corey, I'm gonna get you, man. I'm a Giants fan, so it's gonna sound biased, but I mean, just that red, white, and blue. I'm thinking about America. I mean, clean lines, nothing too fancy. And from being from New York, I know what the vernacular is of the city. It's just grind and hustle and just doing the dirty work and getting it done in the trenches. That's what the city's kind of all about. Hopefully that hasn't changed since I've been living there, but the Giants is kind of what they're about. So those clean lines and just that straight logo. I mean, it's changed a little bit over the years. I've seen some of the different iterations of it, but it's just clean and simple and, just about getting down to work. So I like that. The flashy logo and the flashy uniform, how'd they really help on the field? So I'm an advocate for keeping it simple. As far as the worst one, I think I'm gonna say the Eagles only because I'm not sure what's going on with the black and the Kelly green. It kind of like clashes. And believe it or not, I'm not an interior decorator, but I do a lot of that around the house. I'm kind of involved in the color scheme, and my wife leans on me for that kind of stuff. And I don't like, no offense to Clemson, but orange and purple, you get what I'm saying? It's something weird about that together.
Come on now.
Some color, let's be honest, some color just don't work together. That just doesn't, it's renowned, people know it, but it doesn't really work. The black and the green, I think they are horrible together. So I'm kind of, it's not, the logo is fine, but the uniform, the colors, it's like, wow. If I was them, I would implement more of the black, gray, white, and green together and kind of do it like that. Not that black and Kelly green, but they're not doing that. Back in the day, they did back in Cunningham's day, but the gray was so dingy, look like they had a bad laundry wash or something like that. So it was like, it wasn't catchy. The bottoms were an atrocity back then, to be real about it. But I think they got the worst uniform, man, the Eagles.
Yourself, my wife leans on me too for that interior decorating stuff, but she leans on me to shut up and not say a word about it, man.
Oh, wow.
She does not want my input.
I understand.
Shane.
So I went with I think we've all kind of hit on like the retro or keeping it clean. Not a fan of this team, but the Dallas Cowboys, I think, for best. The second you see that star, it's the Dallas Cowboys, regardless of what you think of them. And I mean, when you're talking about jerseys, that's what you want. You want to be able to know that that's recognizable to everybody out there. And I think that hits for them. I think Corey really hit on it with Washington. I mean, the colors don't really change much. They change it just a little bit, but you've already gone through 3 names in 3 years. More than likely that name is going to change again. So what comes with those new jerseys? Are they going to change it up a little bit? Are you going to go against the ends that you've already had before, those Hall of Famers that were the Redskins jerseys? And that color scheme and what that means to them. So I think they're the worst in the East, and it's more just because it changes all the time.
All right, so here comes the cheating in the hedge, and I promised y'all, if it's modern day jerseys, I like the Cowboys the best because of what Shane said. Classic look. It's really never changed hardly at all, not much anyway. So I like the Cowboys the best, and the Commanders the worst. I mean, man. I don't like the colors. I don't like the logo. I don't like the changes. I don't like any of it. I don't like the fact that they haven't settled on anything. I absolutely despise that. Haven't heard that. But if we're going to talk throwback stuff, man, it all changes. Okay, I love that late '80s, early '90s Eagles Kelly green uniform that Randall Cunningham wore. I think Corey mentioned that. Loved it. And I loved that old '80s, '90s Washington uniform. I love that burgundy match. That was just beautiful. Absolutely love that. But my favorite, if we're talking throwback, is going to be that '80s, '90s Giants uniform. I did not like the gray pants. Yeah, I don't like the gray pants with the NY on it, but I love that old dark blue with the Giants written on the side of the helmet with the old Lawrence Taylor days, basically Phil Simms. Love that. So there's the cheating and hedge. And if we're getting to do the throwbacks, which they still wear a good bit, right, then it all changes for me. Don't like the modern Eagles because it's too dark, man. You can't. It looks black to me. It's like, man, come on, give it a little personality. But anyway, that's best and worst. Let's move on to our third topic of the night. This is called attack mode. So we may do some more of these in the future. It's the first time of this segment, but attack mode segment tonight. You get to pick any AFC offense, any one you want, and quickly describe how you would attack the Chiefs' defense. So the defense for the Kansas City last year took a major step up, really took probably the biggest step they've had in quite a while. And we tonight are going to pick one AFC offense and try to tell quickly how we would attack that Chiefs defense. Corey.
Hey, y'all kind of heard me talk about this earlier, but I'm rocking Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I have got to see what that looks like. Does it split carries? Does Derrick Henry get less yards, less touchdowns? Does Lamar Jackson get more carries, more yards, more touchdowns? How does this affect like the RPO play? How do they get other players involved with play action and stuff like that? I want to see if they can just kind of just bulldoze the Chiefs. Because I feel like the Chiefs are kind of like a really finesse, really skilled, really fast, quick football team. I want to see if they're like at the collision course that the Ravens kind of used to be or kind of built. Can they finally beat that red wall? I would love to see, like I said earlier, I want to see Lamar Jackson put together a great game throwing and passing, but have Derrick Henry just kind of keep that stiff arm and just run through everybody. I just want to see that, man.
I'll come back to that. I'm interested to see where everybody else comes out on it before I say anything. You, Seth?
All right. I thought about this a good bit. And I figured that the best offense is the one that has the best record against them. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Chiefs are 14-23 against them. I feel as though every time they play them, and there was one exception last year, but that was like kind of an anomaly. But every game they play against them, it's tight defensively, low scoring games, a lot of field goals, more than touchdowns. I think that proved that KC can be beat. What I would do in order to be at a point where you can kind of hold them to 13 points, which is what's been historically working, I would say heavy run game. I don't know if Najee Harris is getting it done by itself. I forgot who's back there behind him, but it didn't work enough consistently. But a heavy run game, I would do two tight end sets on them all the time. Because I don't think the defenders can defend it very well. I'm talking about two big boys that can catch passes.
Right.
I don't think the Chiefs can defend that well. I mean, just eat them up, take over the clock. That's kind of one of the things that was a big factor in all of their losses to them, was that the Steelers had the ball more. So I would say run the clock on them, possession receivers in the two tight end sets, mow them boys down, just eat the clock up, and just score on them. Just keep on running on them. I think that's how you beat them. But everybody should probably do that. But I think the Steelers are equipped to do it to solve the tight end issue. But right, they got one half of that problem solved, but then they got to fix the other half. But and keep your eyes on Patrick Queen too, and Peyton Wilson.
Oh, that's crazy.
They'd be a big part and do some damage to the Chiefs. I don't think they can handle those two big boys either.
All right, Shane, which offense you taking?
Man, I'll tell you what, I think we all brought NFL offenses back 30 years, but we all agree. I agree with both Yusuf and Corey. So I went with Corey's. I picked Baltimore with their rushing attack. They have a good offensive line set up. Derrick Henry moves in there. You already have Lamar Jackson. I think the key thing Yusuf talked about on the Pittsburgh side, that's why they went out and drafted new offensive linemen. Like, they want to get back to that old Pittsburgh rushing style. Let the quarterback make smart decisions and march the ball down the field. If you're Kansas City, your defense played excellent last year. The only problem is you were 18th against the run. You have solid front seven, but you're undersized. Spagnuolo loves to bring pressure. He loves to move people around. His linebackers, though, are normally quick, but not heavy. And if you're going to keep pounding them time after time after time, things are going to open up. if you're Baltimore, you have a quarterback that can hit deep passes. So if the more and more times that Spagnuolo has to create pressure, try to run blitz, I think that opens up an awful lot for Baltimore. And then with Baltimore's offense, the other thing that a lot of people don't talk about is Patrick Ricard. When you have a fullback that's the same size as your guard, who has the ability to catch, run the ball, and also be a weapon, just like Yusuf said, you go double tight and you run the ball down their throat and make them stop it. And if they don't, Kansas City gets behind and you have to have Mahomes throw it every down. That's tough for him.
Yeah, so y'all are speaking my language here. Running the football, I think, is kind of where you start with Kansas City's defense. And then hopefully you can just use that to set up everything. And I wish Baltimore had done that last year's AFC title game. Just took a little bit of pressure off Lamar, ran the ball early, and then let Lamar just tear it up. Right. Because you give him a chance, he would have, and they didn't do it. I don't understand why, but maybe they'll figure that out now with they got the Derrick Henry back there. So anyway, I figured y'all would pick Baltimore. So just for the heck of it, I picked Cincinnati since they've already done it. Wow. Now, I don't know that their offense is going to be quite as good this year. They've already kind of lost a piece or two, but still, you've got a guy who's already done it. He can get off the ball quick when he needs to. Even when Kansas City gets pressure on Joe Burrow, he is still able to move out and complete passes. Plus, he's got two excellent wide receivers, assuming that they both still stay on the team this year, who can go up against that good secondary of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I picked the Cincinnati Bengals mainly because they've already done it and they got a quarterback. But definitely Baltimore, I think, is the obvious team there and where I figured most of y'all would go. So that's attack mode. I like that. We'll do that again here over the next few weeks with other teams and other offenses and defenses. Next, we have 10-5-1. So Shane has taken over the lead here. Obviously, I don't have my whiteboard tonight, but I think he's in the lead for like $65 here. And the rest of us are working on catching up to him. So we're doing two 10-5-1s tonight. The first one is, which Major League Baseball player will lead the league in home runs by the end of the weekend? So at the end of Sunday night, this coming Sunday night, which I think May 12th, something like that, at the end of the Sunday night, when the weekend's games are over, who's going to be in the lead? Mike Trout was in the lead, and Austin had predicted that he would have a heck of a season, but he got injured, so he's out now. Shohei Ohtani has moved into the lead with a number of guys just sitting right there behind him. So 10-5-1, Corey, who's going to be leading in home runs by the end of this weekend?
Well, I'm going with the Braves. I'm going with Marcell Ozuna. He's batting .306. He's got 10 home runs. And when I looked at this, I was like, man, this kind of reminds me of those, the home run races, man. Like, who can like when you made the question, I was like, made me think about those days, like who's going to get to 100 first or 50 first, those type of things. So I think that's going to bring a lot of excitement back into baseball. But I'm going with Ozuna simply because Trout got hurt. And Ohtani's really good. I can't sleep on Ohtani, but like I said, I'm going with the homer pick. Let's just see, what happens. I'm all about what the Braves can do. I feel like they have a great team, but somehow didn't close the deal. I'm kind of hoping we can rectify that. But I'm going Ozuna.
Ozuna's a beast. His attitude almost reminds me of a basketball player playing baseball. He's just got it in spades. Yusuf?
I feel less confident now that I found out about Ohtani. I didn't know that. I didn't know about Trout either. Okay, so originally who I had is I'm gonna go with that, but I'm going 5 because my confidence level is not that strong. I'm gonna catch Shane, but I don't know what's gonna happen with this one. But I'm gonna go Gunnar Henderson. More games, more opportunities. The Olds got, I would say, a fairly light schedule coming up. Nats, D-backs, 30-34 record. He's top 5 in RBI, so he's making contact. I like the idea that he's playing the D-backs, and they're among the leaders in home runs being given up. So he's in 4th place now. I didn't know that. I thought he was in 1st place when I checked. When I did my research, he was in 1st place. That happened real fast. So he's in 4th right now. So since Trout is out, I'm going to go ahead and still go with. There was something about the Braves sketch I didn't like, so I'm still sticking with Henderson.
Oh, Yusuf doing his homework, man. I didn't do that. I just picked the name off the list. Shane, who you got?
That wasn't what we're supposed to do.
I mean, and so everybody's coming after me, and Yusuf goes and picks my dark horse. That was Gunnar Henderson. I thought that he was going to be great, but my pick, I went with Ohtani. Trout's out. Ohtani's catching fire. Schedule plays well for them. I do agree with Ozuna. I mean, like he when he catches fire and he gets going, he could rack up 4 and catch everybody back up again. But I think Ohtani is out in front, not worrying about having to pitch or anything else like that. So the home runs are where he's bread and butter. The Dodgers have a ton of offense, so I think Ohtani is going to come out the end of the week. So I'm still going 10 on that. It's worked for me so far, so I'm going to stick with it.
Pedal to the metal, baby. Corey, you probably already said, and I just missed it. How much did you lay down on Ozuna?
I'm gonna put 10 down. 10 for 10 home runs so far he's got. So I'm gonna put 10 down.
All right, fair enough. I hate to go with the obvious here, or what I think is the obvious, but I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna catch Shane. I'm gonna go Ohtani too. I'm gonna put $10 on that. I know Shane did the same, but I'm gonna try to keep pace here. So we'll see. I'm gonna pick Ohtani as well. He's just, I mean, he's an amazing guy, right? You know, nothing seems to phase him. Even all this, you know, gambling controversy with his guy in the off season, as the season started, has not seemed to phase him one bit. You know, I mean, he's just a heck of a player. So I'll pick Ohtani and I'll put 10 on it. We're doing 2 10-5-1s tonight. We've never done that, but on Wednesday night, the Pacers and the Knicks, game 2, bringing back some old memories, man, of some fun series in the Garden. It'll be on TNT, I think maybe 8:30 on Wednesday night. Who you got in the game? No odds, just straight up who you like to win. Corey.
I'm going Knicks, man. I'm going the Knicks simply because, you know, Jalen Brunson's kind of like didn't kind of expect him to blow up like this. So I'm really impressed with what he's done so far. And this is going to be some crazy matchups in this one, man. Like, I just feel like they're very, as far as like size goes, as far as positions goes, they're very easy. They match up pretty well. So I'm just going to be some crazy matchups. Then you got Siakam over there, but, you know, Halliburton. I feel like it's going to be a really good matchup. But for the lore of basketball, simply because the Knicks haven't really been hitting them so much in such a long time, let's just see what they can do. And like you said, hopefully it gets a little gritty, man. You know, bring back some of that, you know, some of that old school desperation, like these two teams that kind of no one expected, kind of going for it all. So I'm expecting to see like for them to get gritty, get like a little gritty series, you know, 90s style.
All right, Corey's got the Knicks, and how much are you dropping on them?
I'm putting 10 on them, man.
10, getting aggressive, getting wild, buddy. Yourself, I gotta think you're picking New York here, man, right?
The Knicks are causing heart conditions all across the country. I am picking the Knicks. I found some stuff out before I decided to make that pick, but I ain't moving. I'm gonna stay at 10 because I want to try to catch Shane. So I'm sure Halliburton's gonna wake up in game 2. But what's encouraging is that Hart's out there out rebounding their best rebounder, which I love. Everybody was worried about Siakam and who's going to guard him. Anunoby's doing a fantastic job of that, keeping him from going haywire. He's still a leading scorer in game 1, but I think he had 21 points or something like that. But I'm okay with that if Halliburton's getting shut down. So despite popular belief and people who are really visually impaired out there, the Knicks are playing with heart and determination, man. When they get behind, they don't quit. They keep on fighting. When they're ahead, they try to break away. They're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And they're short-handed, so they got to fight and grit it out, like Corey said, a whole lot more than normal. So I ain't thrilled with the depth on the team. I found out that Mitchell Robinson is going to be out tonight. I didn't know that. So I'm super concerned about that part. But our X factor is the bench, though. The Pacers got the highest bench scoring in the whole league, 47 points, 46 points, almost about 47 points. We got about 29 points as a team. So if that number increases to at least between 35 and 40 points, we got a fantastic shot to defend home court and come out with a win. I think we can do that. We got a lot of guys that recognize, you know what, Mitch Rob is out, at least for right now with I guess some ankle maintenance, I guess. Randall's not coming back. Bojan's not coming back out. So it's like we need these guys to step up. So hopefully they do that. I'm going 10. I want to catch Shane. It may not happen, but I'm going for all the marbles here. Knicks, game 2.
We're all coming, Shane. Who you got?
Hey, I saw that there were 2 10-5-1s, and I knew that everybody was against me. But, you know, I hate to tell everybody, but you're not catching me. And I'm going the Knicks for 10. I think Yusuf hit on it. The big thing about the Pacers, when you look at that, and he talked about those bench points, it's very true. But the other thing that the Pacers do, if you look at the time, those bench players get off the bench faster than a lot of the other teams too. So when you're balancing out your minutes against your starters, those guys are also getting more time. But everything Yusuf hit on, I think the Knicks are playing back to the way that the Knicks used to always play. Gritty. They're gonna ground it out. Corey hit on Jalen Brunson. This is a coming out party for him, certainly this year, where he's showing what he can do and that team can play behind him. I think the Knicks bench has some guys that can show up, and I think the Pacers, when it comes down to it, I don't see them being explosive enough in this turn to be able to pull against the Knicks. So I have the Knicks for 10.
All right, I like it. I've got the Knicks for 10 as well, especially because it's in the Garden. If this was over in Indiana, maybe game 3, I'd probably be picking Indiana because I do expect this to be a halfway decent series, one that the Knicks pull out in maybe 6 or 7 games. Because I do love Indiana, man. They got players. Halliburton over there, love watching Halliburton play. He had a rotten game 1. I mean, he just flat out really just didn't show up at all, to be honest. I don't expect that in 2 games. So I expect a fun game in the Garden again, but I will pick the Knicks because Brunson is having himself a time in these playoffs. He may go for 60. I don't know. He's going to be lighting it up in game 2. So I've got the Knicks as well. I really could not pick against them. All right, so that's the 2, 10, 5, and 1s. We will all try to catch Shane. We'll run this particular contest until the end of May, and then we'll just start a new one maybe a few weeks after that. We'll see who the winner is. Our next topic of the evening, this is going back to something that came up last week, movies, and Austin's not here to do his movie review, but we're going to do one tonight. The question is, which movie all time was the biggest disappointment for you? Which movie were you looking forward to, and it just absolutely was a dud for you? Corey.
Man, I had a hard time with this one, man, because I'm sitting there thinking, like, I can recall times I did not like a movie, and now when I'm thinking, I can't even name it. I probably didn't like it to keep the name of it. So I was watching Aladdin with the kids, the Disney Aladdin with the kids. I'm like, okay, the cartoon's pretty fire. And when I thought about the remake, the live action remake, and how like it was not that fire, I was like, okay, I could honestly say some of the Disney live actions, they just don't hit like that, some of them. And I think the Aladdin one was one of those. It was like, I mean, I know they got Will Smith in there, but Robin Williams just eats him alive. I mean, in comparison to the 2 movies, it's just disappointing to me, the Aladdin remake. So I'm going that one just because we watched that recently. I was like, yeah, the remake was terrible compared to this.
Fair enough. Not what I was expecting, but fair enough. Youssef.
It was a hard one for me, the same way as Corby said. I got so many in my head, but when it's time to do the question, I'm like, I lost them all.
Yeah.
I would think about going Marvel, but most of the Marvel movies that were bad, the ones that didn't gross for the box office, I didn't expect it to. So I'm like, this premise blows. It's going to be bad. So it's not really a surprise. So I'll go with the one that actually shocked me. And that was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, 1999. Now, fans were ready for more Star Wars. Return of the Jedi was already done. That was like 16 years prior. They were ready for some more lightsaber fights and space battle, the whole deal. But it was kind of a massive failure. No real story build going on. I can't blame the actors or the story per se. But just after 16 years, I think the writers got tired of trying to create fresh ideas.
Yeah.
Would be aimed at kids and whatnot, but there was no one. That sense of wonderment and excitement that kids actually enjoy, especially with movies like this. It just wasn't it. There was no life in it. It was like kind of lifeless. The sad part is that in an effort to be different, they forgot what makes Star Wars special. And I almost forgot about Jar Jar Binks. He didn't help this to be a horrible situation. But yeah, that's my movie that fell below expectations. So me thinking Jar Jar Binks is bad.
I'm with you. I like the second set of Star Wars movies, but it couldn't hold a candle to what came early on in the late 70s, early 80s, whenever that set came out. Not even close. So, Shane.
Man, Corey and I have been on a wavelength for this segment. Let me tell you what. I went live action Lion King. Everybody was talking about how big that was going to be. And, I'll be honest, I didn't have big hopes for it because, like Corey said, like those cartoons, they're ingrained in you. Like that was great when you were a kid. You watched it. Like that was great. The voices, everybody who was doing it. And like I don't even think that the voice actors that went for the live action one were that bad. Like I thought it was good, but it doesn't match up. It doesn't match up. And for all the pop and circumstance for Disney to redo all these, movies and make them live action. The other thing is there's a one title track that Beyonce sings. The second I hear it, I just think about how much I hate that movie. And like the cartoon version was one of my favorites as a Disney run. So I mean, I went live action, Lion King. Hopefully, you know, when Austin gets back, he can break down some B-rated movie that none of us have seen to tell us that that was actually the worst one that was supposed to be hyped up.
Hey, you guys got
All
me to
right.
thinking, man, because when you said Marvel, I made me think about I hate to cut in, but Eternals, man.
Oh,
Eternals was another one of those movies I was like, oh, this it could have been something, and then like it kind of never fixed up the stuff at the end. I was like, yeah,
The trailer told me it wasn't happening. That's how I knew.
yeah.
There was nothing nobody said. It was no.
There was
no
nothing.
spoiler alerts. It was that trailer. I'm like, ooh, that ain't gonna work. Watch.
He was right.
Comic book nerds.
So-
I mean, I was a comic book nerd too, so I was down to the comic books like big time. So I know who they're talking about. I read the comic books, but everything can't be a movie. Let's just be honest about it. It just doesn't work sometimes. And that was one of those.
no, that's a good point. Everything can't be a movie. I had a lot of movies that I was very disappointed in. Two of them for me really came down to the wire, but the final verdict went to Citizen Kane, man. I have heard about Citizen Kane my whole freaking life. Everybody from Here to Sunshine has told me how great it was and why. I've had people sit me down for an hour and tell me why Citizen Kane is such a wonderful movie. So I've Googled it. Why is Citizen? And I sat down and watched it as an adult. It was the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. I watched every single second of it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this for sure. And it just didn't do anything, man. And I get it. Maybe I have peasant taste and I just don't, appreciate the finer things in cinematography. That movie did nothing for me, man. It was the biggest disappointment. And I know Yusef's over here dying, but man, that Citizen Kane was the biggest disappointment. Second place was The Lone Ranger, the movie that came out with, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 years ago. Lone Ranger sucked. If you were a fan of the original Lone Ranger show, and I get it, some things needed to be changed and modernized. I was 100% in support of that. But the movie sucked, man. It was awful. Just a big joke of a movie. So those were my two. But that's it. Those were the two movies that just absolutely disappointed me from start to finish. Yusef,
wow.
I'm killing you over here.
I'm just shocked, man. I didn't expect any classes to come out of your mouth. I didn't expect that. You got me, man. I didn't expect the classes. I was thinking like something like recent. You went way back into the archives. Wow. I'm shocked, man. I want to know what Austin thinks about all this stuff. That's what I want to hear. What's he thinking about this stuff?
Yeah, I got me looking some movies up.
Y'all can't even see me anymore. We're just about done. Your final 60. Corey, what you got?
Man, like we were talking about earlier, man, I went back and listened to some 70s music, man, and just listen to some of that older stuff. And man, just put you at ease, man. Like, I don't know, just something about that music and that time where there's a big want for peace. There's a big want for everybody to just chill. I kind of really dig that, especially since the dance competition. I've been playing that Summer Breeze since that day. I'm like, it just makes you feel good for a moment. So I'm definitely been on some of the older music, but at the same time, I'm a hip hop head, man, and some of this new rap stuff is getting crazy, man. That's all I'm gonna say, because it's wild times out there in the rap world.
Oh my goodness!
All right, let's Corey 60. Yusef, your final 60, man.
All right, to the podcasters, I feel you guys, man. But we got our focus in the wrong place. We want to be relevant in a world full of peeps trying to do the same thing. But I got me some new math for you guys. If I got 3, it's better than your 10. What that means is that they got 10 that's hanging around them, trying to get their shine on them, trying to be in the limelight. But if you got 3 that don't care about the shine, they're happy to celebrate you, they're committed to growing with you and relationships with you and using their cashier to push you up, your 3 is better than their 10. You got something great on your hands. Anybody with legs can chase the hot boys. So my challenge is that locate somebody who loves and appreciates you for what you do and why you do it, and make a conscious effort to trust them more, connect more, and stop being a dysfunctional free agent. Leave all the cloud chasing to them, and you just build your podcast garden. You got some awesome flowers in it. Water them liberally, expose them to the sunshine of the success that you enjoy. Treat them like they're the only ones out there. And you'll see that when winter comes, and it will, you'll be glad you did. Trust me on that one. Just enjoy, just do you, have fun. Surround yourself with folks who do understand what you're trying to accomplish, and celebrate them guys and have fun together. It's going to draw people. People are going to want to be around you guys because you're having fun and you're doing you. Something that's not happening out here in the podcast world for some strange reason. So that's my 60.
Good point. Man, I love it. Thank you, Yusef. Shane, final 60.
Love that out of Yusef. Attitude of gratitude right there. So I kind of went with Corey.
Again?
Yeah, well, like I said, we're linked up today. So mine's a little bit different though. Making the rounds in my neck of the woods, so Upper New York State is UAlbany lacrosse team. Jeff Mart, he plays live by Pearl Jam before every game. Everybody circles up, they bring people in, and I do enjoy that song, but what it reminds me of is those high school times where your basketball team had the warm-up tape and you had the greatest hits like Corey's talking about. You had some rap mixed in there, you had some old rock and roll, warm-up songs for football, like that music that brings you back. The second you hear it, you think about those teams, you think about where you played, you think about some of the other people who may have passed that you don't have in your life anymore. And so I like everyone mentioned right there, and Corey mentioned, the power of music and that single song that can bring you back. That's my 60 this week.
All right. I love all of that. And thank you, everybody, for listening. One final thing from me, nothing major, but it is important. I didn't tell about Yusef's stuff last week, his podcast. So, Yusef, real quick, just go ahead and tell everybody where they can find your material, your content, and we'll sign off.
Good, thank you, sir. Everywhere that you listen to audio podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, however you're listening, we're definitely going to be there. As far as audio and video, 4 episodes, at our YouTube channel, at They Call Me Mr. U, you can find our show. Mondays, 9 a.m. EST, and we're on the Wednesday wrap-up and some other stuff throughout the course of the week also at the same time. So,
all right. Well, love it.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, everybody, for being on with us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And goodbye from Myrtle. I'll be back home next week. My vacation will sadly be over, as all good things must come to an end. But I'll be back home, and we'll hit you up next week. Bye.
All right.